Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Thank you for stopping by. Well, I trust you enjoyed my last video from Ben Harper and through his song Diamonds on the Inside. We looked at, well, if they're on the inside, why don't we let them out for the world to see? So trust you found that one encouraging. Well, we're going back to 1970. This is an era when it was such a big era for music. We had these four guys from Liverpool who changed the world in England, the Beatles, and after that, when they finished up in 1970, so many bands got formed. We've got Electric Light Orchestra, Doobie Brothers. Led Zeppelin had been going for a couple of years. Media Blues were probably about 3 years before that, but certainly ushered in a whole realm of this thing called progressive rock. Now, progressive rock was absolute pristine musicianship in fantastic harmonies and scream innovation, big sounds, and absolute works of art when it comes to songs. There's nothing short of absolute brilliance in some of this music. And Court of the UK was a big place for that. And in London in 1970, very much the founders of progressive rock were formed. Keith Emerson, Greg Lake, and Karl Palmer, who together formed ELP, Emerson, Lake, and Palmer. These guys are considered one of the most significant progressive rock acts ever to exist and a major influencer in that genre. One commentator talks about these guys are internal rock notoriety, so a lasting legacy here. Between 1970 and 1994, it's just quite amazing to think that these guys had albums through all that time, given how members went off to various bits and pieces during that time. 9 studio albums, 24 live albums. So these guys would do more than studio. These guys very much live act. 12 compilation albums and 17 singles. Estimated they have sold 48 million albums. Now let's talk about these three a little bit more. First of all, we've got Keith Emerson. Keith was on keyboards and very much the driving sound behind Emerson, Lake and Palmer. He's considered one of the best keyboard players of all time. He is known for his very elaborate setups on stage, and he used a Moog synthesizer, one of the first to bring that out, and there's just cables going everywhere in that particular thing. Imagine setting this thing up every night. We'll get onto a clip in the moment where you actually see one of them. He did leave us, unfortunately, at the age of 71 in 2016. We then got Greg Lake. Now, Greg was the vocals, was songwriting and guitar, and he was very highly respected by many amazing guitarists in the world, including Eric Clapton, Steve Howe, and a few others. In fact, Greg Lake and Karl Palmer very much floated around between a few bands, including Asia and Yes. And so there was very much a family of bands happening around about this time. Very, very highly regarded in the music industry by some really significant guitarists. We then got Karl Palmer. Now, Karl, I first met Karl through the band Asia, who came a little bit after ELP in 1982. But when you realise you're putting Karl Palmer in any band at all, his drumming he is one of the best in the world. And this guy is really, really good at being able to keep the beat of what is absolute chaotic music going on stage. And so the three of them together, Karl's actually still around, which is great, and I'm sure he misses his mates Keith and Greg a lot. And if any of the Emerson or Lake families are watching, please, you're Keith and Greg, I don't need to tell you how significant they were in the world of music. And for Karl, if you're watching, man, you created some absolute magic with these two and did everything else you've done. Now, when we think of Emerson, Lake and Palmer, there's one song you think of in particular. This is actually an adaptation of a classical piece of music, Fanfare for Common Man. This came off of the Works Volume 1 album of 1977, and it's very much the signature tune for Emerson, Lake and Palmer. The minute you hear that opening synth single line, you know exactly where this song is going. And just the fact that it's just a beautiful instrumental piece, this one goes to show that this was more than just a song. This is a work, an absolute masterpiece. The title of the song is Fanfare for Common Man. Now, first of all, fanfare, what's that? Well, a fanfare is like, it's a bit of an instrumental, pretty much declaring something significant is about to happen. If you think about a monarch coming into a particular place, and there might be an anthem, that's a fanfare. You think about the Olympic Games, there's so many fanfares in that. There's very much a signal that something significant is about to happen. Common, well, that defines a common experience, a universal experience that we as men and women all experience. So what this song is really, what they're saying is this is a call to all of us. A call for what though? And this is the interesting thing. Because there are no lyrics in this song, don't know. But I think there's something to be said about the way the music is, certainly the opening line, and how, particularly we'll get onto the iconic official clip of this one in a minute, just how it resonates around the stadium, and everyone just kind of stops and pauses and says, oh, wow, I've got hairs standing up on my arms right now. And for a minute there, for a brief moment, we pause and we think about who we are as a shared humanity. If we are in a stadium and we know a few thousand other people, we start to think, oh, hey, actually, there's not just me, there's a whole people. And you imagine people without their mobile phones, not that mobile phones were a thing back then, but everyone's got their light and they're kind of swaying their phones with their lights on. This is where we're going today. But I think there's more to it than this. It's all very nice to be in a stadium to feel at one with each other. But what happens when we leave the stadium? There's just so much war, so much hatred, so much hunger, so much poverty, so much everything going on, that the dream of a fanfare for common man is almost just that, a dream that will never ever go anywhere. But we have a fanfare here. So, this song gets us back to the fact we are a common man and we are all in this together. And, you can think, well, I'm just some small person in this world. What can I possibly do? Well, as I've said 2 times before in this series, there are millions and millions and millions of small parts of the world that we're in. I'm in my small part of the world. You're in your small part of the world. Someone else is in their small part of the world. What can we do? We may not be able to impact the whole of humanity, but we can impact our part of the world that we're in. What can we do to be a positive difference in this world? What can we do to help people along the way, to listen, to be present with people? What can we do to show people that they mean something? We're not just a number in a big machine. We actually are human beings. I think this is where Fanfare for Common Man was going right here, and that was, hey guys, we are common and we're humanity. Let's actually listen and pause to the fact that we are that. The minute we get emotions in there, right, it kind of gets a little bit out of control at this point, and no one really knows what to do. The thinking kind of leaves the window. But there's also something about thinking leaving the window here, because there's something so beautiful about this song that our emotions kind of take over, but they take over us in a positive way, in a way that we think, wow, I want to change the world after hearing such a masterpiece as this one. And I'm sure this is where ELP were going when they brought this one out in 77, thinking, come on guys, come on, let's actually get together on this thing. So we've got the official clip on that one. It's very, very well known, I think, from Wembley Stadium. We've also got a live version, and here we've got a few more instruments in there. Good to see some actually brass and some other things. And seeing Karl Palmer doing his thing with the whole, timpani, that always has a bit of an effect. And so very much we've got a bit of orchestra and ELP doing their thing. So we've got an official and live version of that one. We then got the song From the Beginning. This is absolute class, this song. This came from the 1972 album Trilogy. This is a live version from 2010, and here you probably get to see, first of all, Greg Lake singing, which is pretty cool. Here you get to see Karl Palmer, who's drumming. And, you know, he doesn't do a lot in this song, actually. But when you look at what he's doing here, he's just doing what drummers need to do, and that is to complement the sound and keep the rhythm going. And then, of course, we've got Keith Emerson with just surrounded by keyboards and cables and all sorts of things. He's about the only guy in existence that would know how to put all this stuff together into a coherent sound. So we got from the beginning. Now, talking about absolutely chaotic instrumentalists, we've got Nut Rocker. This came from the pictures at an exhibition album from 1972 that's been borrowed from a classical composer as well. And here we've got just classic Keith Emerson. Just watch how quick his hands are going here. How amazing his left hand and just the whole thing. His chap's absolutely amazing. No music, by the way. This is all done from memory. And then we got Karl Palmer just doing his best to keep up. And boy, does he absolutely do that in this song. Don't see much of Greg Lake in this one, but I'm sure he's in there somewhere just trying to keep up with the whole thing. And so we get to see, you know, we've got a live version and three live, sorry, an official clip and 3 live versions today. You get to see kind of the iconic, the slow, and the chaotic. This is everything that makes up Emerson, Lake, and Palmer. So the links to those 4 clips are in the description below. And if you want to recap on my last video from Ben Harper, feel free, because that one's there for you as well. Well, it's great to see everybody here. I'm back here again today. If this is your first time to this channel called Life Reflections Through Music and thinking, what on earth is this and who's this Trevor guy? Hey, I'm just one of these guys. I suppose I'm just trying to make my positive difference, well, to the world, as it turns out, in these particular things that we can do on YouTube. I don't want any money from this stuff. I'm just doing it to be a positive encouragement to anyone who chooses to listen. But anyway, I just want to get the word out there. That would be great. And so, yeah, thanks for everybody for hanging around to the end too. It's great to get this sort of engagement. Well, that's it for today. Next time, we're going to go on to Gothic Rockers, Evanescence. So until then, I'll catch you around. Bye for now.